Hey guys, welcome back to RL Design Innovation. My name's Brian. I've been away a little bit on vacation and I was sick after that, but we are back in the shop. I received while I was gone several emails for folks that have the Xtool S1 and installed my camera solution, as well as I received emails from folks with other lasers, some with the camera solution, some with not. But the main question is, can you help me with Lightburn? So we're going to do a tutorial series on Lightburn. We're going to start with the basics and then build upon that. So let's get over the workstation so that you can learn something that you can take to your hobby room or your laser workshop, wherever, and start being productive. Let's get going. That different, there'll be extra functionality, and what they've done with the advanced functionality of Lightburn, they now shifted those to pro version, such as nested loops, the Galvo laser, things like that. If you don't need it, don't get it. Get what you need. You could always upgrade if the capabilities of the base model doesn't meet your needs, then upgrade. Let's get started on the tutorial. This is your base screen. Now my screen looks different. I'll show you how to organize it, but we're going to go from the menus over and we'll go from there. The first thing, when you load up Lightburn, you're going to want the laser panel. All right, so how do you find the laser panel? You go to Window. If yours is not shown, mine is here. I'm going to unclick it. You see it disappears. I go back to the laser panel and click it again. What's nice about it, once you get your screen set up, when you hide things, click them back, they go to where you had it. Anyway, we're going to go to the laser panel. You're going to click on devices, because the first thing you're going to have to do is install your laser configuration file. I'm not going to do that. Mine's installed, but you would click on the devices, and if you purchased my solution for the Xtool S1, you click on here, and then you would then click import, and then select the directory where the file is that you saved and bring it in. After that, after you import it, you're going to go back up to your laser tools. Calibrate camera lens. You're not going to have to do that with my camera solution. I give you the calibration, but for those that are using a different camera on a different laser, you click calibrate camera lens. You go through this process. I've done this on another video. I'm not going to do that today. Do the calibrate camera lens, you're going to need to do calibrate the camera alignment. What does that do? It actually is calibrating the camera with the bed of your laser. Now folks say, well, do I just do it once, or do I always have to do it? It goes by the thickness, the material thickness. So think of it this way. Here is right here is your camera, here is your bed. If these distances change, think of a camera on a microscope or a camera in your hand. The focus changes as things get closer or go farther away. Same thing with a camera solution for a laser. You have to calibrate it for that height. I do have a video out there on how to cheat and do a couple of calibrations for different material thicknesses, and then use those for a whole range of different materials. Regardless, if you don't want to do that method, you create a calibration for each material thickness. Again, I have that in another video, but normal material thickness is 4mm. Use it day in, day out. So you put a piece of 4mm board in there. You then do the calibrate camera alignment. When you're done and it's perfect, go through the process. Again, watch my video on that. You then right click over here on my camera profile and say export camera settings. After you do that, you give it a name, save it, and then in the future, if say you went from 4mm, then you're using 10mm pieces of wood with another laser calibration you did, you would then right click over here and you say import. You import the material thickness, again, that focus calibration for that material, and then you're set to go on the 4mm. I have not. I've done literally thousands of engravings, and I go from 4mm to 6mm, sometimes up to 18mm. I import the settings, and very rarely do I have to use my X shift and Y shift to adjust that. What is X shift and Y shift? In the camera panel over here, there's an adjustment. You go X shift and Y shift. If you notice, for my current calibration, my 4mm, I have it at minus 0.5mm, and that was the way I aligned it to be perfect with my bed and the camera. You may have to play with that. Very rarely do I have to readjust that after I do a calibration. What would I do if, say you have to do a run of 50 blocks or 20 blocks, whatever it is, you put a piece of scrap wood at that level, you do a quick test engraving. If it's a line, great. If not, you go through and you just adjust the X shift and Y shift. In real time, you see the adjustment on the screen. Once it's done, start engraving. It's very, very easy. Again, I really don't have to do that. So after you did all those calibrations, then what do? Well, let's look at the menu structure. Let me delete this. All right, let's go on and continue to show you the menus up here. We'll go to the top. You have File. This is where you have all of your I/O functions with the package. What does that mean? Where I can import things, save things, create new windows. So let's go down. New means I'm new project. New window, I have a new window pop up. Open is an old project. If you go to recent, it'll show you a list of all your recent projects that you've worked on here. And you can just select one, bring it in. You could show notes. What import is, say you created something in another software package, such as an Adobe Creator, Corel Draw, or even an Xtool suite or another laser suite out there. It allows you to import the .svg files. Why is that important? When you use SVG, it stores your layers. And what do I mean by layers? When you're engraving and you're cutting, you're making multiple layers. Over here, for instance, we have one layer that we're working on right here. If you look at my cursor right here. So let me show you how that works, a real simple way. I'm gonna go back here. I'm gonna hold that button down, hit rectangle. I'm just gonna do that. We are, if you notice, on this black layer, right? Now say I'm gonna do another one. I'm gonna go over here. I did that, it's still black layer. If you notice black, but if I click red, just so it comes out, you see red? There's two layers here and automatically Lightburn creates two layers. Why is that important? Layers give you the control of your laser. So for instance, let me shorten this up and give you an example. Say I did this, make it a little smaller, okay? And we'll go through this more in details, but say I wanted to cut the black out, but the red I wanted as well to cut out, right? So I wanted to have basically a rectangle with a hole in the middle. But right now, if you look over here, I have a black and a red. When Lightburn processes and when you're engraving, it goes from the top down. So what does that mean? Right now, we'll do the black and then the red. But as people know, when you're engraving on your laser machine, if you cut the piece out first and it drops a little bit, it's going to be off. So you always go from, the smallest piece inside to outward, meaning you cut anything on the inside and then you cut out the whole piece. So in this case, what do? How do I do that? I could do drag like that and it goes up, or you can use these little arrow keys here. You go like that, but I want to go again. So I want this red on top. So what happens now? So in the process of the laser, it would then cut the red out if I set the power and everything properly there, and then the same thing with the black. Here's a hotkey to know is Alt-P. You hold your Alt key down and P. If you notice, there's two boxes here. The red one, which is the middle, would be cut out first, and then the outside. But how do I know? Because I'm dragging on the bottom. This shows you what the laser's doing. So I'm gonna go here, it's gonna come down, it's gonna cut the first one in the middle out. Then it's gonna go do the second one out till it's complete, and it's done. Pretty cool. Let's continue on. Now, edit. If I selected this right here, you can go to edit. I'm just selecting the outside box. You can select all. What does select all mean? It means to select everything in this picture. If I just selected this and the outside box, I went like this, I go over here, you notice it's just moving the one box. But this is how you select. If I want to select all of them, left click from here, drag down, and watch what happens. Not just the middle moves, all of them move. Now, say you want to build templates and of this. You want to maybe you're doing something where you need to duplicate this and replicate this 6 times. What do? Again, left click, drag down. Now I'm going to right click on the mouse and I'm going to do something called group. What does this do? If I click here and I click here again, if I move it, they are grouped. They are one unit. So in Windows and in the Mac, it's Apple C, but if you do Control C, I put a copy of that into the buffer, the Windows buffer, and I hit Control V for paste. There you go. I just made another one. Let's do Control V again. I made another one. Now, let me do this. I'm gonna move this over a little bit. I'm gonna move this one over a little bit. And I'm gonna go like this on purpose. Now I'm gonna highlight all these. Now you say, oh my God, when I'm doing templates, how do I level these things? I'm gonna go over here, and you notice right over here, I have these displayed. I'm gonna show you how to enable those in a minute. I'm gonna click this one. See, it has a line and all the pieces over here. Watch what happens on my screen. I click that, they all go down and they are highlighted. I mean, they are leveled. So that works really good right there. Now, let me Control Z. I clicked this one, right? Now I'm gonna go this way from the bottom down, and it brings them down. So depending which way you wanna level it, if say I want everything leveled on the top, you click like that. Pretty cool. Now, let's keep going. Again, we showed cut is you're just cutting it. That's a Control X. Why would you use that? You could do two things with Control X. Let me click here, Control X right here. I got rid of them on the screen, I can keep going. But say I wanted to, let me do something real quick. Make believe I'm gonna make a big box here. I'm gonna put over here, click, I'm gonna hit Control V. What did I do? Control X takes what you're highlighting and removes it from the screen, puts it into a little buffer that you don't see into Windows. You could repaste that later on. You're not making copies of it. You're just taking off what you selected, either moving it or getting rid of it totally. So this allows you to remove it and move it to someplace else. Control X and then Control V. Let's keep going. Again, you want to duplicate. Control D. So I go over here, and now there's two of them. Control D as in Danny, or like I did before, Control C and Control V. Same thing. But if you don't want to do two, Control C, Control V, just hit Control D and it duplicates whatever you have highlighted. Pretty cool. Paste, I showed you that when I copied and paste. If I want to delete, I click delete. Uh-oh, I didn't want to delete that. Control Z, it brings it back. Control Z, think about it, it fixes your boo-boos, your mistakes. In the new Lightburn 2.1, they have a history window that pops up, which is really cool because it shows you everything you've done, all the steps, creating the boxes, and you want to go jump down, like if anybody's used AutoCAD or packages like that, they have a history. So you can always go back a couple of places in history and say, oh, I want to fix that. It allows you to do that. Pretty cool function. So let's keep going. We did delete, convert to path. If I want to convert this to bitmap, what does that mean? Right now, these are lines. I can't convert to path because I'll show you that, and I've done that in other videos, but right now it's a different type of drawing, but I can convert it to bitmap. If I convert it to bitmap, you see right here, it takes all three of those, and I could adjust how, to focus it. I think that's pretty cool right there. I hit OK. Now, if you notice, it's not a drawing anymore like these are. It is a bitmap. Think of it like we just scanned what was there. If I hit Alt P to see what's going on, you could see right here, it's not as defined as these boxes below. I go back here. Now Control Z, one more time. So I had it back 3 times because I moved it and then I did something else with it. Now I'm back to where it was before. It's useful for certain things. I don't use that one too often, to be honest. Let's see, delete duplicates, again, Alt D. So if I did a duplicate and I hit Alt D, say I did a Control D and I go, oop, I don't want it, I hit Alt D. Not a big deal there. All right, again, I'm showing you basics today. Select open shapes. We're not doing that today. Let's go on to tool. Let me show you the window function because I know everyone wants to know how this works. You have all these windows. Everything that's checked here is what's on my screen. Now you're gonna say, wow, but they're not taking up your whole screen. What did I do? If you notice down here, I have materials library, I have my art library, my shape properties, variable, and file. I try to keep all those together. But say, for instance, you see this art library popped up? I wanted it to go next to my move library, okay? I go here, and then I click it and bring it here, right between. So what does this allow you to do? When you enable all these windows, I'll show you that in a sec, or disable, then enable, it allows you to place them, and now I want to put it back. Wherever it highlights like this, it goes into that category. Now you're going to say, I don't want art library first. I want material library. All you do is drag this right there. That's it, very easy. Let's go to window. Now, again, I'm not going to show main. I'm not going to show, let's see, camera controller. You notice that disappeared. Let's go to, let's see, console. So these things disappeared on the right. Now you're going to say you're setting up your machine. You say, oh, I want to add those in. It's going to remember camera control right there. It remembered where I put it before. I'm going to go to window again, console. Now I'm going to show you something, and I'm going to hit the console right here. I'm going to move it on here. This is what happens when you first enable Windows, when you're first starting Lightburn. They don't appear perfectly always in columns. They may appear in your right column, whichever. But now, this is what you do to set it how you like it. I want this console. I like it tied to macros. But say I didn't. Say, you know what? Let's put it down here in the art library. You see how it highlights. If I go between it automatically, or I can put it up here. You can put it wherever that blue appears. That blue or that gray in this case, because I'm putting on a window. Or if I wanted it here, you say, there's my console. Oops, I didn't want it there. Let me put it back over here. I'm going to drag it. All I'm doing, let me show you again. Right here, you click the header where the name is, the console. I'm bringing it over. I'm putting it here. There you go. Console macros. So this is how you set up your system. Once you have it set and you say everything's great, this is what I always do, and I think it's very, very important. You hit edit. You go to, I do bundles, but you can also do preferences. Because bundles, I'll show you after this. Preferences, I export my preferences. I have it set, I give it a name, Brian, and I save it. Later on, if anything ever happens, someone went into my Lightburn, they deleted my menus and how I liked it set up, I can import. Now you're gonna say, what is a bundle? Everyone can see here, I have my library. We'll go through what the material library is. I have an art library, and then I have shapes and all this other stuff. Fonts, I have a lot of fonts in here, but what does a bundle do? This is a really strong feature. Think about it this way. You're backing your system up. I hit export bundle. Now you can pick your art library, your material library. Let me click over here. Devices and application. What this allows you to do is back up your complete material library, your art library. Why would you want to do that? I have in here, I don't know, about, let's just be simple, say 2 or 3 gigs of art, clip art in here. I have materials I've been building. I'm going to show you how to build a material library and what the material library is. This allows me to export it, save it, so if anything ever happens to my computer, I have this saved onto a portable hard drive. I can bring everything back in, bring in my setup, all my configuration, how I like it set up, my material library, my art, my clip art library, and I'm back up and running very quickly. Now, let's go around. I'm going to skip the menus up here because I talked about material library. What is a material library? This is a very strong function of Lightburn. As you start engraving different materials and start using it, you want to create libraries because you've tested that, say, 4mm plywood before. You know the perfect setting for etching, for cutting, or engraving. So what do I do here? I create a library. So how do I do this? Let me show you how to create a brand new material item in here, a different product, and the first layer. And then I'll show you why it's important. I'm gonna say create new, Brian's test. I'm gonna say it's 4mm and it's test material. I go over here. You say, cool, I got a new test material. But here's the thing. You would then have to, and I'll show you an easy way to do this, I'm going the long way. You click on test material. You then set your speed for your laser and your power. This is something you've tested. A mode, what is the mode? Line, to do a line. Is it a fill, where you're filling a box? Or an offset fill, which does an offset type of fill. It goes the opposite way over it. And I'll show you that. what it looks like. We'll get there. In the future, this is useful. So as I'm using different materials, I build a library. Now, say for instance, this black layer, let's just change this to show you how it happens. I'm going to change the speed to 300. My max power, 40. Okay, I'm going to hit OK there. Now, create new from layer. Already it has Brian's test, 4mm, description. I'm going to call this, I'm going to say this is a cut, okay, for this piece. So let me bring up to show you what it did. I highlighted again the 340. I created new from layer, and if I click on it, it shows you 340. So what does this allow you to do? It allows you to build materials based on your experience of what you like for that type of material. It's an easy way to build out this library. So how do I get rid of this stuff? Delete. Yes, delete. Delete. And there it's gone. All right, so let's keep going. I showed you a bunch of items in, again, the edit area, the tools we went through, several of them. Again, all of these are on the left. Draw lines, draw a shape we went through. What is a node? How do you edit it, and what does that mean? So let's do that. So I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to draw here to here to here. I'm going to draw something real quick. Okay, there you go. So it's a box, right? I'm going to go over here. I'm going to arrow it. I'm going to use my arrow, rather, I should say, highlight it. And now I'm going to click edit nodes right here. And you notice it breaks down into the actual points. You're going to say, what is that for? Why would I need to do that? So I clicked on edit. If you notice, now I can adjust, let me zoom in, those points that I added. But say you want to, all of a sudden, I'm clicking here, right here, and other menu items. What are they? I'm not going to show you all today because it adds a lot. But say I want to add, I'm going to go over here. Now I'm going to click plus. Okay, I'm going to highlight right here. If you notice, a new node appeared because I clicked the plus. I'm going to click one here again. You're going to say, why would I want all these other nodes? I'm going to do one here. I'm going to do one here. I'm going to go back to here, and you see over here the arrow key. Now I'm going to go to one of the nodes that I added. See how I could do that? So I can curve this even more. So think of it, this is your design. You can do so many different things with it, like that. And you say, oops, I want a node there. I'm going to go click on the plus again, click on this. I'm going to add right over here, and there's another node. I'm going to do another one. So adding nodes allows you to have more control over that line segment. You can do individual curves, individual angles, whatever it may be. So if I did like here, I'm going to add one there, one here for argument's sake. Go back to the arrow point, the pointer. I'm going to go here, and you'll see why this is important. I'm going to pull this node down. I'm going to push this one this way. I'm going to put this one this way. Now let me do this right here. I'm going to bring this down, maybe square this up a little bit. Pull this down right here. You can see what I'm doing. Say you needed to laser engrave something and you needed to have a hard edge because you're going to have another thing connecting this, another laser engraving that's squared off, and you need to glue it. That allows you to do that. You can set whatever angles you need. You could add more curves, like over here. I'm going to go out a little bit. I'm going to go out this a little bit, even more. And you could, if you notice, by me dragging up and down, I'm changing where that exact node is. It gives you the flexibility. So I'm going to take this one out and go out like that. That's the node function. And you could do subtraction node. You can then, and the advanced features we'll do on another video. This is just adding and subtracting. Okay, go back to here. Again, tools, edit nodes, trim shapes. We're not going to, let's look at tab function, the tab function over here. So we're going to click it. I cleaned off the rest of the screen so it doesn't confuse you. I'm going to zoom in and say I needed to have a tab right here. I go here. Using your mouse, and if you have a scroll button on here, you can just scroll it up or down and it'll allow you to zoom all the way in, which is nice. If I push this on mine, push the scroll button down and go like this, it allows me to move like this. You can use, mouse does not have the scroll bar like mine does, a scroll wheel. You can use zoom to page. It will zoom to your full page to show you everything. If you want to zoom in, you do Control plus equal. If you zoom out, Control plus minus. So what does that mean? I hit the Control plus, it zooms in. To zoom out, Control minus. Again, plus, minus. Very simple. So you have the same capabilities there. Not a big deal. But let's go over here. The X position right now, it shows you right where my cursor is, right over here. I'm making boxes. It shows you where it is, the X and the Y position. The width. So if I go over here and I go like this, it just made a width. If you've noticed over here, with a 37 height. But say you wanted to say, oh, I need to have the width of this at 20 millimeters. I hit 20. And I need the height to be 10. There you go. So that's how you can adjust that. And if you say, oh, you know what? The directions told me instead of 20 millimeters, I need to go up to 120%. So you hit 120% and it increases to 24. Now again, if you needed 20, you go back over here at 20. No problem. Now, let me go to over here, hit the cursor key. I'm going to hit this. Again, you see the rotate over here. I can rotate millimeters and just hit anywhere it rotates. Let me show you an easy way to do this. Click this. You see this little drag? I can just do this. I'm just moving my mouse up and down. That's a cool function. Now you see this button, this little square right over here, this one. I'm going to go this way. It moves it like this. Gives you a little fancy effect. Same thing. See this one right here? Up and down. So the little squares, one is horizontal, one is vertical. Pretty cool function. Okay, let's do text now. I'm going to highlight text, and any way you want, I'm going to type. But say I'm going to type test. You're going to say, oh my God, that's so big. I just hit the arrow. I could do two ways. I can go like this and drag it in. Let's zoom in. Say we wanted to put the test in that box. I'm just moving the box over, and you say that's still too big. I just shrink it, drag. You say that's pretty cool right there. Now you say, how do I change the font and see what's going on without going up here? There's a font box right here I can use. The height, which is the font height, but here's another way. You click on your font, left click it, and now you'll see, let me move this over here so you can see the font. If I click the down arrow here, these are all different fonts, but this is what's going to be moving even over a little more, so it's not in the way you can see what's happening. I click over here, and as you can see, I'm going through all these fonts, and in real time, it's changing the fonts. I like that. Now say I wanted the height. I can make it bigger or smaller. You can do an alignment. The space between letters, horizontal space, subtract it, make it smaller, whatever. That's what that does. So this gives you a lot of capabilities. Now, let me bring this up a little bit more. Now say you wanted this, but you needed to break the letters up, just for argument's sake. I right click on that and I hit convert to path. What does that do? Now watch this. Each letter is its own item. Why would you want that? Say I wanted to have these, I'll call it fancy. I wanted to do something like this. Like that. Now, couldn't I have done it the other way by doing one letter at a time? Yes, but then I would have had T-E-S-T, 4 characters, then I would have to do one at a time, line up this way. I took one word and broke it up. It allows you to be, we'll see, a little artsy crafty with your letters. So we went through the file menu, the edit menu. We started going through some of the tools. some arrange. I showed you the beginning of setting up your laser, and I think we're gonna stop here today because that is a long video already. I don't want people getting bored, but it showed you a little bit. So till next time, we'll do tutorial 2. We'll keep going on. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of the day. Thumbs up. Keep sending me those emails. Tutorial 2 will be coming out very soon. Bye-bye.